Addicts, welcome to the Tour Junkies 2021 Travelers Championship betting preview. We're going to talk outrights. We're going to talk top 20s. We've got our let 'em hang predictions of the week. And then at the end of the show, Pat is going to bring it in just the tip. All you need to know to bet, to be a better or a better DFS player or whatever. And listen, Pat's coming off a major heater. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. First off, presented by our friends at fantasynational.com, the place, the one-stop shop. If you're betting head-to-heads, if you're playing three balls, if you're betting outrights, top 20s, top 10, doesn't matter. All the stuff you need is at fantasynational.com/TJ. And when you use that website to sign up, you get 20% off any membership level, weekly, monthly, or annually. It's $8 a month. I think it's $24 or $8 a week, $24 a month, $200 a year after the promo. It's great stuff. It's well worth it. We've been using them for 4+ years. They trust us. We trust them. All the data is provided to them by the PGA Tour. It's licensed. You know it's good. They got Korn Ferry Tour stats on there as well. FantasyNational.com/TJ is where it's at. Take advantage. If you're listening to this show and you're not taking advantage, I don't understand what you're doing. Why you would be doing that? You're leaving money on the table. So just use it. FantasyNational.com/TJ. Listen, real quick, if you missed it in the DraftKings show, our winner for the Nut Hut second place prize. That's right, the Bubble Boy prize that wins the big merch giveaway. If you are J03 Rock, you, sir, have won. You finished second place in the Nut Hut. You were the first loser in the Listener League, but you're the winner in terms of a nice merch bundle giveaway that our very own Pat Perry is going to pack neatly for you and seal it with love and send your way. So email us, info@tourjunkies.com with your shipping address and T-shirt size. We'll get that out to you. Listen, before we get into this, Pat is on a major heater in betting, in DraftKings, in life in general. You look great, buddy. What are you drinking tonight? What's the champ drink? What's the guy on the heater drinking tonight?
Got a little Wild Leap brew, company out of LaGrange, Georgia, on the other side of the state from us. And this is a double IPA. Very good.
Yeah, that's an IPA for each 10K that you want on DraftKings, right?
It is. Yeah.
20K DraftKings hit. We talked about that ad nauseum in the DFS show, but
yeah, we don't need to harp on it
talk
too
about
much.
Your week, though, buddy. Go ahead and gloat on yourself one more time. This is the last I'm going to deal with this.
Just a good week. I won 20K in the $200 single entry on DraftKings. I love that contest. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later in just the tip. And then on top of it, I got laughed at. I laughed at hard. I mean,
ridiculed, bullied, even.
Literally all of those things.
Yeah.
For Russell Henley as your first round leader. I had the gall to put that out there in the Twitter world, and people thought I was the biggest idiot on the planet. And what happened? He was your first round leader along with Louis Oosthuizen. So it did split that bet, but it was 125-1. So we split it. Still, pretty good bet for your first round leader, and so I was pretty excited about that. So yeah, it was a good week. It was I'm on a heater, I guess you could say. I'd like to continue it. We'll see what happens.
You also won. You just barely squeaked out a win in our prop bet that we had last week. Best friend bet. The Justin Thomas versus I thought Justin Thomas was going to have a great week. You hated it. You thought Jordan Spieth was going to have a good week. You hated it. I hated it. It turns out neither one of them had a great week, but both of them, made the cut. Jordan on the number. JT double bogeys the par 3 16th late on Sunday to tie the bet to tie Spieth at 2 over, and then loses the DraftKings points tiebreaker. So I will be getting waxed. A part of my body that I'm allowed to show on YouTube will be getting waxed by my wife live on the Open Championship DraftKings show. So if you'd like to see that, I don't know why, but if you would like to see it, if maybe you're not a DB fan and you just want to see me in pain, there's a lot of those out there. Pat won that too. So he won that. He won a freaking neighborhood pool that he forgot he even entered for the U.S. Open. He won.
That was great.
$300 on that off of 20. What else, dude? What was there? I feel like there's something else.
I think that may have been it. But it was a good week. Very very fun week.
Yeah. The Russell Henley bet was great, man. I mean, the amount of I mean, there were guys we could have reported to Twitter. They were so abusive on your Russell Henley tweet. They may actually be banned right now, but we don't know. So Pat's just winning at everything. The hot streak is definitely in play. I don't know if you should ride it or if it's jumping off. I don't know. Yeah, Josh Kistler, Pat winning at life. Yeah, we get it, Josh. All the Pat kiss asses in the chat. I've been listening to it, reading it for the last hour and a half. Oh, fuck. I mean, I am happy for you. You know that. We talked about that. Like, you're my boy. I'm happy for you. But geez, like, I mean, let's come on. Come on. And you were 2 points, 2.5 points away from winning 100,000, which would have been really nice. So
yeah, that would have been. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. And a lot could have changed to give me that 100K. But that's what happens in these tournaments.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Let's talk about the Travelers 2021 from TPC River Highlands. A course we're quite familiar with. Pat, talk about the golf course.
Yeah, so TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut. It is a par 70. It is playing 6,841 yards. So not a very long course by tour standards. One of the shorter courses on tour. We've got 156 players this week. Low 65 and ties will make the cut. We've got bent grass with some POA mixed in as far as the fairways and greens. There'll be a lot of talk about that, in the Twitter world and whatever else, as far as how they're putting, more like Ben or POA. We'll get some more information on that later in the week in the Nut Hut from caddies and wherever else. So pay attention to that. You've got Kentucky Bluegrass Rough this week. Pretty much any type of player can win here. You gotta, there's a lot of dog legs on this course. We've heard you really need to, work the ball both ways, which is one reason you've seen Bubba win it 3 times. He's good at that, very good at that, actually. But for me, it's all about iron play, all about strokes gained approach. Ball striking. I mean, you just got to hit these fairways, which are pretty easy to hit, but then you got to hit the greens and make some birdies. So for me, my stats are going to be course history. I'm looking at some form, looking at strokes gained approach and ball striking, par 4 scoring, and opportunities gained, which is a Fantasy National stat that gives us, some good information on scoring. And then if you look at your defending champs, I mentioned a lot of different players can win here. DJ won last year. Ches Reavie in 2019. You couldn't get more different than DJ and Ches. Okay.
Yeah, that's tough.
And then Bubba.
That's tough.
Bubba in 2018, his third win, Jordan Spieth and Russell Knox in 2016. So those are your past champions. Should be a good week. Actually, we have a really good field.
Can you think of one similarity between the Chesticle and DJ?
They both have testicles.
Okay. I mean, I guess. I mean, have you seen either one?
I haven't seen their testicles, but I mean, I'm making an assumption.
I mean, if you saw our boy Joel Damon on the street, you would assume he had 2, and he only has 1. So, it's possible that they don't have any.
Yeah.
We just don't know. So maybe. Anyway, this is definitely one of those courses anybody can win. That's for sure. I mean, that's been proven. You mentioned Bubba Watson's won here 3 times. This is for sure a Bubba course. Multiple players, not just Bubba, have talked about this course being one that you have to work the ball both ways. Jordan Spieth said that. Ches Reavie said that. They both like to do that. A lot of dog legs, kind of your Parkland Northeastern, style course where approach really, really matters. There may be some dog legs that your big hitters like Bryson, who has played well here, could cut corners and go deep. These POA bent mix greens are interesting. You do have some debate on what that is. According to the PGA media site that I logged into about an hour before this show, they list bent grass first with a POA mix. Who knows? So, yeah, we've got like a dozen caddies on the grounds that we're friends with. So we'll find out what they think come Wednesday in the Nut Hut chat. So you're going to want to be in that. By the way, if you've not joined the Nut Hut already, you should. What are you doing? It's $10 a month, $90 a year. We just had Trip, somebody on the last show, join, and he's like, dude, I've been a member for 1 week and it's already paid for itself. And I also, how am I ever going to work again? Because it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah, it is. It's great. You get great advice, great Wednesday night chats with us and the boys. People are in there 24/7 chatting it up about golf. There's all kind of sports in there. If you play any other sports in DFS, they're all there. They all got channels. A lot of friendships being made. $10 a month, $90 a year. Go to tourjunkies.com. Click on Golby's Nut Hut to sign up, and you can join our private Discord server. And you get 20% off all your purchases, all merch purchases on the tourjunkies.com website. And actually, we've got a new piece of merch. Sam, if you want to queue up that brand new piece of goodness we got, the hoodie is now available on tourjunkies.com. That's right. We've got new golf hoodies, and they are beautiful, man. They're black. They're slimming. They make you look slimmer. They're an athletic material and cut and fit, and they don't have drawstrings. They're made by a golf clothing company, so they're perfect for the golf course. And who else is going to release a hoodie on the first day of summer other than us? That's going to be us. Anyway, you can buy this hoodie. You can buy a bunch of other stuff on the tourjunkies.com shop and get 20% off as long as you're an active Nut Hut member. So join the Nut Hut. That's what you need to do. When I look back at the betting odds of some of these winners, Pat, it's definitely in the recent years, it's been a lot of the shorter numbers or kind of the mid-range. Now, last year, I kind of feel like, 2020, it was, I think, the third event back from the COVID pause. It was the third event back. It was the Charles Schwab, the Heritage, and I think this place. It was one of the first few events back. DJ won it at 30-1. Reevy won at 70-1. Watson at 33. Spieth at 10. Knox at 55. Bubba again at 14. But then before that, you kind of had a run of these long shots. You had Streelman at 150-1 in 2014. He's in the field playing great. Ken Duke at 160-1, and Mark Leishman at 130-1. That was one of his first wins, I guess, on the tour.
130-1.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of different types of players and a lot of ranges here, but definitely in the recent years, it's been more to those short to mid numbers. We're going to talk about our favorite bets in every range here in just a second. But for the most part, to me, it's a second shot golf course. And it's putting and it's scoring. I mean, your cut line is going to be between that 2 and 3 under number. And you're going to have to go low to win here. Now, I don't know what the weather is supposed to do. I do think that on the weekend, there looks to be like a little chance of some wind kicking up there in that northeast United States. So we'll see how that goes. You'll want to check into that when it comes time to get in the Nut Hut, Chalk Bomb emails, all that stuff. By the way, if you're a pissed off Chalk Bomb subscriber or a former Chalk Bomb subscriber and you're pissed off, you should go back and watch and listen to the DFS show that we just did for the Travelers, because we had Chalk Bomb Ben on the show defending himself, and he made quite the case for why you should continue to subscribe to the Chalk Bomb. So do that. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments section here on the betting show, comment, what do you think Pat should spend his money on? He won $20K on DraftKings. He won money betting Russell Henley first round leader. He's high on life. Before the wife gets to it, what do you think Pat should spend his money on? What would you spend it on? Put that in the comments. If you already did that on the DraftKings show, do it again on the betting show because it helps us out. Comment for the algorithm, people. Come on, let's go. What are we doing? And if you're watching live, wait and do that till after the show is done. We would appreciate it. Actually, our boy Trip Anderson, our new Nut Hut member, Trip Anderson, brings up a good point. This is a course that Jim Furyk shot a 59 at, and Mackenzie Hughes shot a 60 last year. So yes, very low numbers out there at TPC River Highlands in good conditions, especially in the morning. I know Furyk shot his 59 in the morning. I would bet that Mackenzie Hughes did the same thing. So first round leader bets, showdown, all that kind of stuff. That could be interesting. So yeah, low numbers out there, and this kind of scoring conditions kind of does tend to bring anybody in the field. So I think the golf course itself and the scoring could produce a lot of different types of winners. So let's get into it, Pat. Talking outright bets in the kind of favorites up to 25-1 range on either DraftKings or PointsBet. Who do you like? What are you looking
at? Say that again.
Okay, what are you doing, Pat? What have you been doing? What have you been doing?
Sorry. I
Well,
was
you
looking
just
at.
been dreaming about your 20K, or what are you doing?
And we're just doing the top half here, right? Isn't that what we're doing?
What have you been doing? What have you been thinking about?
I'm thinking. I don't know. I tuned out for a second.
God,
Literally, the one time I tune out, the whole show, all the shows we did tonight. You asked me a question.
we're only 15 minutes into the second show.
I know, but like the last show, you started off every single category, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Okay, what are you doing?"
I just the favorites up to 25-1. It's on
Okay,
your rundown that we print up every week that we do. It says okay.
yeah, okay. Favorites up to 25-1. All right, for me, I will start with Paul Casey at 18-1. He's 18-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I love that number for him. He's one of my favorite plays this week. I think he's, I mean, look, Casey's just playing fantastic right now. This is a perfect course for him. So I like Casey. I think he's one of the top names that will show up at this event and not like, he'll care. I never feel like he shows up like DJ does and not care, or Brooks
Yeah.
does and not
Yeah.
care. So I like Paul Casey at 18-1. I think that's a good number there. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot of guys here that I'm like just big on up to 25-1. I do like Scotty Scheffler.
Oh,
I'm a big fan of Scotty Scheffler. He is look, he was my man last week. He was one of the reasons that I won a decent amount of money, and you get him at 25-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. So that's probably those two right there, Casey and Scheffler.
dang it, Pat. I mean, I should have assumed
You let me go first.
I know. I should have assumed you had mentioned Scheffler. But
Yeah, you made fun of me for even liking Scheffler a few weeks ago.
No, I didn't. I like Scotty Scheffler as a player, but I'm saying you have a particular draw to Scotty Scheffler. You just do. I'm not. It's okay. Like, we all have our players, right? But I didn't make fun of you for liking him. I think he's a super talented player. But you didn't mention him in the DraftKings show, and I didn't think you were going to mention him here, because I actually pay attention to who you talk about, especially when you're on your heater.
Yeah.
So I was only going to mention one name. Now, I do like your Paul Casey play at 18-1. I agree with you. I think he shows up here ready to go, wanting to play, wanting to finish it off and get it done. I don't think he's a guy that mails it in. But Scotty Scheffler at 25-1 is the play for me. And I think you should go ahead and bet that. If you can get that at 25-1, or if you can even get it at, like, I mean, honestly, 20-1. That feels a little low, but I mean, even at 20-1, I think you should do it. I think there's a possibility that we see a couple of the, maybe a big name withdraw from this event before it's over, and that's going to shorten Scotty's number. But Scotty's got some chops, and he wants that first PGA Tour victory. He's one of the new kids that came out with Hovland and Morikawa and Wolf, that whole gang that has played really well. It's got a bunch of top fives, bunch of top tens, but he doesn't have the win. Coming off a 7th at the U.S. Open, a 3rd at the Memorial, an 8th at the PGA. I mean, the kid is amazing, right? He's a great player. So I think it's going to happen for Scotty Scheffler for sure. I also like the fact that he's coming off a week where he gained 8.7 strokes putting at the U.S. Open on POA, which is typically, even though it's a short career, small sample size, not his best putting surface. If there's a little POA popping here on this golf course, I like that for Scotty, and I like that for the confidence with the flat stick on these greens. He missed a cut last year in 2020, but who cares? Like, ignore that. It was his second event back after the COVID restart. A ton of these guys were shaking the rust off. Like, I don't think you need to sweat that at all. The irons are fantastic. I think Scheffler at 25-1, you need to jump on right now. It could be shorter by the end of the week. Now, in this range, we give you one guy to fade, one guy to stay away from, one guy to avoid. Now, it may be the same guy here, Pat, but I think it's clearly DJ at 13-1. He's actually not the favorite.
It is for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Or 11-1 on he's 11-1 on DK maybe, and 13-1 on PointsBet. Either way,
The opposite. 13-1 on DK.
11-1 on PointsBet.
Yeah.
All right. I think Bryson's the favorite on both those books at the moment. But DJ, to me, there is no, I said this on the DraftKings show, there's no reason he's here. I don't know why he's here other than he feels somewhat obligated to defend because he won last year. But it was the first time he played the event. Like, in a long time, if ever. He just played it because he's wanting to get out of the house after the COVID lockdown, continue shaking the rust off after a couple weeks. Charles Schwab played the RBC. He comes out here, bing, bang, boom. I'm DJ. I got a big schlong, and I can hit the ball a long way, and I can show up at any place and win at any time because I care. Well, he cared last year. I don't think he gives a rip. I doubt he gives a rip. Like, what is he here for other than to defend? If he wasn't defending, guarantee you he wouldn't be here. Plus, he played Congaree in South Carolina. Then he flew. Now, granted, he flew net jets. He flew like in the bosom of Paulina, sipping on, vodka drinks. But he flew Congaree to Torrey, and now he's flying Torrey back to the East Coast in Connecticut. I just don't believe DJ wins here or even wants to be here, and not even sure he's not gonna withdraw. He may find a reason to just not be the defending champ. Anyway, that's it. That's my stay away. Did you mention your stay away? I don't think you did.
I pretty much, it's just DJ for me. There's nobody else in here that I really think you just absolutely stay away from if you don't. I mean, if you have it, want to play them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't hate you for playing Bryson, Cantlay, Koepka. So yeah, DJ's the one that I would really stick away from. Yeah. Koepka maybe, because we know Koepka doesn't show up in these type tournaments.
Do we feel like Koepka wants to show up here though, just because Bryson's playing too?
That's the one thing that makes me think about Koepka.
Or are we just making all this crap up? And I know Koepka would say he doesn't care. Like if you asked him that, he would say, "No, I don't give a rip about that. I don't care who's here. Like if I'm here, I'm here to win." I know that's what he would say. But deep down, do you have?
I do think that Koepka, you just don't know. Like I think he really wants to win one of these events just to kind of shut that talk up, and he's good enough to obviously do that. But I don't know. I don't want to throw any money down on him this week.
No. Before we move on to the next range, which is, Pat, let me give you a heads up since apparently you didn't pay much attention. The 20, anything over 25-1 up to 75-1 is kind of our next range here. We're going to talk about our good friends at Caldera Lab are taking care of your skin, and you're a man and you typically don't give a rip about your skin. But you should. You don't want to be wrinkly. Maybe you got some acne scars. Maybe you got all that kind of stuff going on, and you need to take care of your skin. You just want to invest in healthier skin. And our friends at Caldera Lab have developed The Good. That's what it's called, The Good. It's a multifunctional face serum that's freaking fantastic. In just a couple weeks, if you use it, your skin's going to feel smoother. It's going to be firmer, younger. You want it firm when you're a young guy, right? Mm-hmm. All that good stuff. The clinical trials prove that The Good works on all skin types. If you got a beard, if you don't got a beard, if you're bald, you want to use it on your head because your head's kind of bumpy, kind of weird, kind of squirrely. You can use it on your head. If you got a dry scalp or a wet scalp, you can use it. Doesn't matter. Keep it nice and shiny and moisturized. That's what The Good by Caldera Lab will do for you. And best of all, you can try it 100% risk-free. If you don't love it, they will refund you in full refund. If you go, "Hey man, I put this on my bald head and it stayed bumpy," they'll send you your money back. They'll refund you. Tour Junkies podcast listeners get 20% off your first Caldera Lab purchase. Go to Caldera Lab, that's CalDERALAB.com, and use promo code Tour Junkies, all one word, at checkout. That's CalderaLab.com. Promo code Tour Junkies to get 20% off your entire first order. Do that. If you need some skincare, if you're like, "Hey, I am starting to look a little weathered. I'm starting to look a little bit like a leather glove. You know what I mean? Around my eyeballs, around my lips, or maybe I'm dry and itchy and I'm flaking all over my desk at work. And I look at my desk and I got flakes everywhere. If you're looking weird, or if you got sunspots, you need to protect yourself. Give it a try, man. It's 2021. Men are taking care of themselves. So give Caldera Lab a try. Make and make the Tour Junkies look good by using that promo code. All right, Pat. Up to 75-1. Who you looking at in this range? This range and the next range kind of, chock full of some guys of interest, I think.
There's a few guys here that I like. Actually, I'll start with Abraham Answer. He is at 28-1. Miscut last week at the U.S. Open, but I think he bounces back strong this week. Is a great ball striker, great on approach. I think this is a good course for him. So Abe Answer at 28-1. Also, like Joaquin Neiman at 35-1. Another great ball striker. Should be a great play for this course as well. I like him. I like Harris English. Harris English has been showing some form again. He kind of went on a, he was sort of off the radar after he really started the season on a heater. But he's been back showing some good form. Had a good finish last week at the U.S. Open with a 4th place, I believe, 3rd or 4th. And then really could have won at Congaree a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago, but just kind of crapped the bed down the stretch. He is at 50-1. I like Harris English there. Also, Hoffman at 45-1. Hoffman just still is not really getting, I don't think, enough respect in the golf world, really. I mean, the guy's been playing absolutely fantastic. He's not winning.
Is Hoffman tired? I feel like Hoffman's getting tired.
Maybe he is, but I still think, you look at it, just his ball striking and everything he's doing with his form and all of that. I mean, this is a good course for him. So I like Hoffman at 45-1. And then my last play, Doc Redman at 70-1 in this range. I think he is a great play this week. Almost had a chance to win a few weeks ago at Congaree. I like him. 70-1, Doc Redman. So there you go.
I just laughed out loud at Michael Robertson on Twitter, who commented on your hoodie image and said you look like olive oil. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but
olive oil is the isn't olive oil the Popeye's girlfriend?
Okay. He's talking about the character because of the skinny neck. Okay.
Yeah, Popeye's girlfriend.
I thought he was talking about your skin or something.
No, he's talking about.
I get that because of my hack Photoshop job. Okay.
Oh wait, I will say this in this range, and this is funny because we got this in the chat. Somebody just mentioned Sam Burns in the chat. I actually have him written down. I didn't just say him. I kind of want. He was sort of like a questionable play for me, but I feel like this could be a Sam Burns week. I feel like this might be a chance to get back on him. I don't know if he wins, but maybe in DFS, maybe a top 10 play, something like that. I like Sam Burns, so I'll agree with Hillboy83 in the chat.
Yeah, Hillboy83 says he was on the course last year working security, and Sam kept talking about how comfortable he felt at TPC River Highlands. Hillboy, we need more details on that. Like security in what? Like you were following Sam around, you were just working security at the bathroom, and you happen to hear Sam say one thing. Like, give us a little more detail there. That's interesting. I mean, Sam obviously coming off the victory, then backing it up with the runner-up. Like, Burns is a stud. Like, I think he's here to stay. I think he's an aggressive young player, which I think you have to be to to win a golf tournament like this. I think you got to be aggressive. You got to you got to make a bunch of birdies, right? So I think at any course like that, Sam could blow up. So very interesting for sure. I liked your answer play, and I really like your Redmond play. I like Redmond at 70-1. I agree with you there. Great, like just all around driver of the golf ball. Like got some pop in the bat, not a ton. Pretty accurate. Irons have been coming back around for Doc Redmond. Actually, let me look at this. One of my favorite things to look at on Fantasy National is the rolling report, which shows you a look at one stat category over a bunch of different time spans. It shows you where a player would rank from the last 100 rounds, 50, 24, 12, 8, and 4 rounds. So you kind of see where they're trending. And actually, if you look at it, Redmond was doing really well for a while with the irons. Then he dropped off. He went in a slump. Last 50 rounds, last 24 rounds, slumping. Last 12, last 8, last 7, definitely not slumping. Seems like Doc has found the irons again, and I like that for him. And he's actually been close. I think there was a couple tournaments, maybe I know at least one, maybe two, where he was like, final group to last few groups. I know that the tournament that Jim Herman won that I needed Siwoo to win last year, was that Sedgefield? Was that the Wyndham? Doc was close there, I think. So he's been close. I like him at 70-1. I like your answer play at 28-1. I like Keegan at 50-1. The Northeastern boy from Boston in Connecticut, played well here before. Obviously checks a ton of boxes, right? Didn't play the U.S. Open. Well rested, motivated, and has been close. Like Keegan's close. Like he just needs to make some putts, and he's there. He's 50-1. I like that. Finally, I'm going to give you up to 75-1. Ricky Fowler. I'm going to finally jump on board the Ricky Fowler train. I believe it, man. Like, I believe it. If he's there, if he can put 3 rounds together, I think he'll put 4 together. I think he's ready to close the door. I think he's ready to say, I'm back. I'm back. I'm done. I'm done having people talk about how I'm only in commercials, how I'm only making money off the golf course, how I'm only this cardboard cutout in a PGA Tour Superstore near you. I think he's done with that. I think he wants to say, I'm Big Dick Rick. Shout out Jeff Feinberg. And I'm ready to win a golf tournament again. And by the way, I just used my big dick to impregnate my pole vaulting, I think, fiance. Are they even married yet?
No, they're married.
They are married. Wife. What's her name? I don't remember. She vaults poles. Anyway, just announced today that they're married. Producer Sam, Allison. Yeah, Producer Sam on the quickness there.
Allison Stoke.
Let's see. Minus 1,000 that Producer Sam follows her on Instagram. I mean, he came up.
Yeah, that's the odds there for sure.
Super fast. So, yeah. He replies, yes, I do. Yeah, minus 1,000. We know. He says, was following her before he followed Ricky. Jeez, Sam, calm down.
Goodness, Sam.
God, do you need to take a minute? Anyway, Ricky's impregnated her. They just announced today that one of his sperm,
Do you think Sam is really sad that all of this stuff you're telling him? Did you know this, Sam?
Sam is heartbroken, I bet he didn't know. He's not super active on Twitter. He's more of a visual guy, clearly, on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, one of little Ricky's boys made it to what's her name again? God, I keep forgetting her name. Allison made it to one of her little eggs, and now they're gonna have a baby Ricky. So, strokes gained home life could be a thing. 70-1. He's been turning the swing around with our boy John Tillery. I'm a believer in Ricky this week. I like it. I'm gonna buy into it. I think he might be a chalky option in DFS. So maybe, depending on your lineup structure, depending on how much chalk you're going to eat in other spots, you play him here and you bet him outright. Give it a shot. I mean, he's also plus 275 to top 20. I mean, that's not bad. That's not terrible. Plus 275 to top 20. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Producer Sam wants to know if we have any thoughts on Higo at 70-1. I think I would prefer, if we're talking young Euro studs, I think I would prefer to go 100-1 and go Guido, which is in the next range.
Guido.
Yeah. So we're both more on Guido than we are Higo. Guido over Higo this week. Guido just finished fantastic at the U.S. Open with a lot of fist pumps and possibly rotator cuff damage. Higo, won the Palmetto in a super crappy field. I think both are interesting players. They're both super young. I mean, I don't know. Do these guys even have pubic hair? I don't know. Like, these guys are freaking young. But they're already up here hitting golf balls really well in front of a lot of important people. So Guido could be interesting at 100-1. I would rather have him over Higo at 70. Sounds like you would too, Pat.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Let's talk about the longer range here, above 75 up to 125-1. We just mentioned Guido at 100-1. 100-1 on DraftKings if you want him, or plus 350 to top 20. So if you're a Guido Italiano believer, we talked about this in the DFS show. Guido's riding a hot streak in life as well. He's got pictures with Paulina floating around the internet. He's finishing really well in the U.S. Open. He just he actually qualified for the Masters based on that finish. Then he took membership into the PGA Tour with that finish, meaning he doesn't have to play in those second-rate Euro Tour events. No offense to any Europeans that listen to us, but I mean, guys, we know. So I mean, he's riding a heater in life in general. So for a guy like that, plus 350 as a top 20, Pat. I mean, if you were playing this tournament and you're plus 350 as a top 20 right now, I would bet on you. And you have a terrible golf game, even though you're top 10,000 in the world in strokes gained, bump, and running.
Yeah.
Anyway, who else you got in this range?
All right, 3 guys that I really like. Stuart Sink is 100 to 1. I mean,
Dude,
are
you
we just
can't play Stuart Sink here. You can't.
how can you not play Stuart Sink here at 100 to 1?
The guy like was in like high school when you were in your daddy's ball sack, and when
He's
you
my
travel
age.
from Torrey Pines to
He
here,
my age.
he's probably pretty close to your age, which wouldn't do well for my my story here. But I just don't think the travel does well with the old guys system. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's
Okay,
47.
he's older than me, but
Okay, so he
still,
was in pre-K. He was in pre-K.
I agree with the travel narrative if we want to go that way. But look, this is a great course for Stewart's for old Stewie Sink. Finished second here a few years ago. He did miss a cut last year, but I like him. I like him. You get him at 100 to 1. I'm a big fan of Stuart Sink. Also, Guido was one of the ones I wanted to mention, but Taylor Gooch at 100 to 1. He's another guy who has been
Yeah.
playing extremely well lately. I believe he's made his last like at least 5 or 6 straight cuts. I think this is a good course for him also. So Taylor Gooch at 100 to 1. I think those are good numbers for him. And then in this range, I also like, how do we not look at McHughes at 110 to 1? Coming off of a good week last week, we had somebody in the chat mentioning earlier that he shot 60 on this golf course last year. So some Mackenzie Hughes there at 110 to 1. I think that's a good number also. That's probably it for me in here.
Oh God. We don't have many listeners watching live on YouTube, which hurts my feelings, but we appreciate all of them that do. But the ones that do are really coming in hot. I mean, our boy Trip Anderson, just a new Nut Hut member, says, "Do we really think Sink is going to get 3 wins and then win Player of the Year?"
Could? Why not? Did you really think he could get 2 wins?
If Stuart Sink gets 3 wins, I
mean, but did you think he could get 2 wins?
If
or 1 win?
No.
So why can't he get to 3?
Because it continues to get more and more ridiculous. If Stuart Sink gets 3 wins, what will I do? I will shave my head on the show. I will shave my head. I will do a lot of stuff. I might pull out a tooth if Stuart Sink gets 3 wins. He's not getting 3 wins on the year. God. If and then and then Josh Kistler, because I said Pat was top 10,000 in the world in bumping and running. He says, the wife says I'm top 10,000 in bumping and grinding. The question is, when did she have the spare time to trout the other 9,990? Kistler always with a good comment. All right. God. Okay, you mentioned Guido. I did lose track of some of the guys you said there. What if I told you I'm going to go back to a guy that I've just been riding him. I've been riding him like Kistler's wife rides people a lot this year.
Oh dear.
Well, he brought it up.
Oh dear.
He brought it up in the comment.
Yeah, he did, but I mean,
I'm going to get God, I don't know if I should do it. Let me look at one thing here. One thing. Real quick. I'll pull up the stats. Is he okay? Nope, not good there. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm going back to Cam Tringali at 90 to 1 on DraftKings. The off the tee play has been very bad in the last 4 tournaments for Tringali. But before that, a third at the Valspar, top 10 at the Valero, top 10 at the AT&T. Like, he's been so close. And this guy is dying to win on the PGA Tour. He's just freaking dying. The problem is in the last 4 weeks, he's lost like over 10 shots off the tee, which I'm not excited about. But I think Cam, hopefully after the Memorial, he's had a couple weeks to get it straightened out, get it figured out. He's a good iron player. This should be a course for Cam Tringali. Like it could be 90 to 1. I think I'll take a chance. I like Guido at 100 to 1. I like Hadwin at 100 to 1. He's a PGA Tour winner. He's playing well right now. He's confident. accurate player, good putter on these POA bent grass situations. Hadwin, I like him as a top 20 as well. He's plus 350 on DraftKings as a top 20. And then finally, the gooch is loose, baby. My gooch is loose, and it's Taylor. The only thing I don't like about Taylor Gooch is I don't feel like Gooch has had a ton of like close encounters, I mean, I want to make sure, but he's in good form. He is in good form. Okay. 18th at Memorial, 14th at the Charles Schwab, 5th back in the Players, but I think he backdoored that 5th. I don't know that he had I don't know how many final groups Taylor Gooch has been in, but I don't think it's been in many, which I normally like that before I give you a winner. A first-time winner, but I think Gooch could happen at 110 to 1 on DraftKings. Feel much better about him as a top 20, which he is 4 to 1 on DraftKings. So I'll give you that. All right, Pat, let's move on to the bombs. Over 125 to 1. Who are the super duper long shots over 125 to 1 that are interesting?
All right, I'll give you a few here that I like. One is Scott Stallings at 175 to 1. I think this could be a good week for him. Also, Hank Lebioda at 175 to 1. Good ball striker, putting better lately. I think that's a good number for him. In that range, also Joseph Bramlett at 175 to 1. Wow. I think this is those are all three guys that I think could play really well here and have a chance. And then if I go a little bit longer, I'm going to go with the guy that I liked at Congaree that isn't a very long hitter, that has an incredible short game, good ball striker, and has played well on the Corn Ferry Tour, and actually played well at Congaree. And that is David Lipsky at 225 to 1.
Goodness. Those are some bombs. I don't have those kind of bombs. I will start with Maverick McNeely, who gained strokes on POA, who gained strokes on bent. Good putter there. And really, in the last year or so, we've seen Mav. He's pretty hit or miss. But when he hits, he's been close. He's got a top 5 at Pebble Beach. He's got a T8 at the Rocket Mortgage in 2020. Got another runner-up at Pebble Beach. He had a 4th place finish at the Heritage. All the, Pebble Beach and Heritage, not super long tracks. It's really about the iron play for Maverick McNeely. But he's an interesting play. I think he's a kid that can go low and get hot in a tournament like this. And I think he's had enough experience and enough close calls that he could close the door. He's 135 to 1 on DraftKings and plus 450 as a top 20. Then I'm going to go with the past champion in the Shesticle, Mr. Shesticle Reevy, also at 135 to 1 on DraftKings and plus 450 as an outright. As a top 20. I mean, the Shesticle, what if? What if he's feeling it? I mean, he's a short knocker. He's coming to a spot where he's confident, coming off a T14 at Congaree, a T40 at the U.S. Open, grinding it out. His 2 best putting surfaces are POA and bent. He's coming off a butt ton of missed cuts too. I mean, he had like 5 or 6 in a row before Congaree and before the U.S. Open, but it looks like he figured out his irons a little bit. His irons were terrible. He was losing a ton of strokes, and then all of a sudden, somewhere between the PGA and the Palmetto, old Shez saw his coach, or something happened at home, or he found the Lord. I don't know, but he gained almost 4.5 strokes at Congaree and almost 6 at the U.S. Open with the irons. Like, watch out if the Shesticle has found a little bit of his iron play on a course that rewards accuracy off the tee that he's won before. That could be a very interesting play at 135 to 1 on DK. So those are my bombs. My bombs.
Okay, I like it.
All right, let them hang predictions, Pat. Let them hang predictions. Now, these are where we just really, speaking of Shesticle, we let them out. We let the boys walk around, go for a walk a little bit. We take the plums to the market. We let the sun's hitting them just right. There's kind of a bluish hue. That's where we do that. And last week, actually, most weeks we're not going to get this right. So just letting you know.
Yeah.
But last week I did get it right. I said that Corey Connors would not be the top Canadian in the U.S. Open. And there were only 4 Canadians. And in fact, he was the 4th Canadian at the U.S. Open. So bang. You missed yours. You said DJ would miss the cut, although I think he barely made the cut, and then he did okay, right?
Yeah. It was close.
All right, but this week, for the Let Him Hang prediction, similar to you last week, here's my prediction. The DJ, Dustin Johnson, and Mr. Brooksy Koepka will both miss the cut. Now, if you do that little, you can parlay that action. It's around 13-1. Around 13-1 if they both miss the cut. Both DJ, both Brooks show up, don't give a damn. You know what I mean? They don't give a damn about this golf tournament. They both miss the cut. I say that happens. That's my Let 'em Hang prediction. And if it hits, it's 13-1. You're welcome.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cool. Is that what you said? Cool.
No, I said who?
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 What?
Like who?
Oh. Was there an L or no L?
I don't know.
It would have been funnier if there's an L. That's like a boom to boom thing. Like you just went who.
All right. Well, mine's kind of similar to that. And now, look, I was just celebrating a good heater today, so I really didn't come prepared enough for this one. But I'm going to say that the guy who has won 3 times here, Bubba Watson, who I think is going to be a lot of people. I think he's going to be chalky. A lot of people are going to want to play some Bubba. I think he's going to miss the cut. And you know what? If you want to bet that, he is actually plus 175 to miss the cut. But I think Bubba, 3-time champ here, horse horse stud, is going to miss the cut. And my other prediction.
Oh, you got 2.
Is that I do believe that this is a long shot week. I'm going to predict that we will get a 3-digit odds winner. So 100-1 and above will win this week.
So back to the days of 2014, Kevin Streelman was your last triple-digit winner here at the Travelers Championship. Okay. So you think Bubba's going to miss the cut. Now, Bubba, a little bit resurgent here lately, decent at the Masters, 13th at Valspar, 18th at Wells Fargo. Not good at the PGA, not good at the U.S. Open. Obviously weaker field, but he comes to a Bubba course, and you just feel like it's not going to happen. What is it? Is it the irons? Is it because that's kind of failed him a little bit the last few weeks, but that's interesting.
I think, it's just we're trying to make a bold call. By the way, bring up the chat here. Ahmad Dilly Hunt.
Oh.
He said he must have come into the party late. He's one of the late party showers that just shows up and wonders what the hell's going on because everybody's talking. They're in like he walks up to like 3 guys talking, and he just stands there for a second, and they're talking about some crazy ass shit, and he's like, "Okay, I mean, these guys are nuts." And he just said that we will say anything. Bubba loves this course. All right, look, Ahmad, you've missed this. This is called the Let 'em Hang segment. Okay, this is the Let 'em Hang segment. All right, so that means that we're really just saying we're kind of just saying anything to say something. So really, you're just
we're looking for the most kind of a radical thing that we feel the
could
best.
Actually happen.
We feel
like me saying Dustin would miss the cut last week and miss 3 cuts in majors this year was pretty ballsy, and that didn't happen. The same thing with you and the Canadian pick. So
yeah, I mean Corey Connors. Me saying that Corey Connors would not be the top Canadian. last week against Taylor Pendrith, fulltimeweb.com or cornferry.com. Adam Hadwin and no form Mackenzie Hughes was a let him hang prediction, right? So welcome to the show. First of all, Ahmad, unlike Pat, Pat gets all up in his feelings. He gets real emotional.
No, I appreciate Ahmad.
People. We appreciate you watching, Ahmad. But yeah, you jumped in the middle of the let him hang predictions where we just get real ballsy with it, and that is what it is. I think DJ and Brooks to both miss the cut at 13-1 is something that if I had a little bit, I wanted to sprinkle on something at 13-1 that I didn't feel great about. Money I'm willing to lose, of course. I would do it. I think there are worse 13-1 bets out there that you could make.
I agree. Good stuff. Okay.
All right. It is now time to move on to one of my favorite segments that we're doing every week right now, and we'll be continuing here for a little bit, and that is Just the Tip. Okay, just the tip where myself or Pat give you, kind of a little thought, a little thing, a little tip, whether it's more centered around DraftKings and DFS or around betting, where we talk about kind of more strategy, more theory, more, big picture stuff. Try to keep it quick. Pat Perry coming off the heater, winning $20K on DraftKings last weekend on a $200 single entry, and hitting Russell Henley as a first-round leader bet at 125-1, chopped up to 62.5-1. Pat Perry, you, sir, have the floor for Just the Tip.
Okay, well, Just the Tip for me this evening, I'm going to talk about I'm not going to harp on the heater and everything and winning 20K and blah, 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 blah. But what I am going to talk about is what kind of led to some of that. And that is the fact that contest selection is so key when it comes to DFS and whatever else. I mean, you've got to, especially if you're not like a pro and you're not doing this for a living and everything else, like the single entries, like the $200 single entry, there's a $33 single entry on DraftKings. There's a $12. So it doesn't have to be the $200. There's actually $100. The thing about those is obviously, like it says, it's a single entry. It's one lineup, okay? It's your one best lineup that you're putting out there each week. And you're not going against all the bots and all that kind of stuff and the people that can throw in 100, the bots and 150 lineups and whatever else, okay? Don't get in bed. No, some of them are bots. I think there's some bots out there.
You sound like such an old man right now. They're not bots.
Don't get in bed with the bots, okay? We're not getting in bed with the bots, all right? And so just do the single entry. There, you got a way better chance at winning some money. You don't have to have like this, incredible lineup. I mean, my lineup that I won this past week was in 1,000. I entered it in 3 contests. I entered it in Pat Mayo's league, which, by the way, is a great contest to get in. Pat Mayo is a $15 3-max league. It's fantastic. I finished 15th in that one. Won like $300. I put this lineup also in the Millie Maker for $10 because I just like to throw one in there. And it finished in the 1,000th place. And then it wins $20,000 in the $200 single entry. So that kind of tells you don't have to have that perfect lineup in these single entries. You just don't. And so I like that. I also like the fact that you can kind of eat the chalk a little bit in the single entries. In this lineup, I had Louis in there, even though he was a chalk bomb. Here's a story behind that. I picked this lineup on Tuesday. Okay, I stuck to this lineup. 2 guys that I really liked, Berger and Scheffler, who I thought were gonna. There's the lineup on the screen. Berger and Scheffler were 2 guys that I didn't know, had no clue what the ownership was. But they were 2 guys that I really loved that I thought were going to get overlooked, and they were, and they had low ownership. And then I liked Brooks Koepka and I liked Louis. They were both higher owned around that 20% category.
Yeah, Koepka at 19, Louis at 25. So you ate some chalk.
Yeah, and then Scheffler was 10, Berger was around 5. And then I had Neiman and Adam Scott in there. Adam Scott scared the shit out of me. But sometimes in these GPPs like this, you got to have a guy in there that's going to scare you a little bit. He did scare me, but turned out to be okay. One thing I think about when you do these single entries also, especially the $200 single entry, it's not something like for me, your regular everyday player, like $200 makes you a little nervous. Okay. You're throwing $200 out there in a single entry that you could lose all of that money. So what do? You actually focus a little more on that lineup because you are putting your $200 into a single entry and you just feel like it. I mean, it has to be good. And so when I do single entries, I tend to I focus a little more on each individual player, on the stats. I look at Fantasy National. I really try to drill it down a little bit more. And I think that's good. I think you're focusing on that one lineup as opposed to if you're trying to do 10 or 15 lineups into a contest or more than that, you may just kind of cowboy it up, go off a feeling or whatever else. You don't look at something because you've got 10 other lineups that you're going to do, and maybe you're going to capture a player in some other lineup. So you really focus more when you're doing those single entries, I think, for me at least. And then a key is no tinkering. No tinkering.
Focus is definitely a problem for Pat, if you guys haven't noticed.
It is a big problem for me.
Focus is a problem for you. If you're on ADD medicine or ADHD medicine, then you need to play limited lineups and just enter them into higher dollar contests. That's the lesson here. Yeah.
It is a big problem for me. So when I do those, I focus more on them, and I think it helps me. And then no tinkering also. Okay. You got to get, you set this lineup early. Even if you don't like setting lineups early, if you do it, Wednesday night, it's better when we're on the East Coast. Cause then if you're on the East Coast and whatever else, you don't have to wait like we did last week really lended itself to tinkering because, you aren't going to start until 10 o'clock on the East Coast. So you had some time. But for me, with these single entries, you've put enough time into setting that 6-man lineup. Just let it go. Let it go. And then if the chalk bomb, if Ben comes out with a chalk bomb on Wednesday, don't listen to it if you really like that guy. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I think contest selection is huge. What else?
You can't overlook contest selection in DFS. That's for sure.
And I do think too. I'll say this about on the betting side. I like to do first round leader bets, but I'm going to give my boy DB some credit. He is very patient with the weeks that he does his first round leader bets, and I should learn from that because I took his advice this week. I went with the early morning guys that we saw a clear advantage, and that helped and paid off. Because my other first round leader bets are usually just you're just throwing darts. But this week I actually put a lot of thought into that Henley bet, not just the fact that he was going off early, but some other things. So I think with the first round leader bets, you really got to pick your weeks. I know everybody loves those numbers because they're usually you like to, 100 to 1, 150 to 1 on some of these first. Like this week could be a good first round leader, but I don't know. I don't know what the weather looks like or anything else. I think we could get some long shots so they're leading after the first round. But I think you got to pick your spots. You can't just do that every single week.
Yeah, it's tempting to bet a long shot because it's one round and it's golf. Like anybody can do it. So I do think that's a good tip in general. It's just like be disciplined. Have a rule. If you like betting the first round leader bets and that's your temptation, don't bet them unless there's a clear advantage to one side or the other. If there's not a clear advantage, don't do it. And that's kind of what I try to stick by. But I think you're spot on, Pat, in DFS. Like if you can't max out the entries, then don't play the contest. If you can't do a single entry or three, if you can't do 150 max, don't do it. Unless it's the Millie Maker, you just want to throw one in there just to do it, whatever. I mean, there's definitely stories where single bullets hit, right? But for the most part, it makes more sense long-term that you play contests that you can max out the entries and you're not up against other players who are. So contest selection is huge in DFS. Good stuff, Pat. Thank you, sir. You're the old wise sage, Pat. We worship you. We serve you, sir, humbly. And this is your week. You're just freaking riding the heater, and we all just bless your holy name.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. Thanks for listening to the Tour Junkies podcast, the betting preview for the Travelers Championship. Don't forget to put in the comments what you would spend your money on if you won 20K, or what Pat should spend his money on. What do you think? Put that in the YouTube comments. We need it, people. We need it. Have a great week.